The day I noticed the leak. It was a rainy Thursday at 6:20 in the evening. The kids were finally asleep, the dishes were done, and she sat at the kitchen table with her bank statement spread out like a crime scene. She wasn't broke. She made a decent income as a medical coder, but every month her account felt emptier than it should. She tracked her spending for the first time that week, not with an app, but with a notebook and a red pen. And what she found wasn't reckless spending. It was death by 1,000 paper cuts, the $12 takeout because she was too tired to cook, the $35 sale dress she'd worn once, the $17 subscription she forgot she had. None of it felt like waste in the moment, but together it was draining her future. That night, she made a quiet vow. I won't stop buying joy, but I will stop buying noise. And this is the story of three single mothers who discovered that financial minimalism isn't about having less, it's about making room for what truly matters. I'm going to walk you through the 10 things they stopped buying, why those purchases were draining them, and what they gained instead. Because here's what nobody tells you. The path to financial freedom isn't paved with deprivation. It's built on clarity. Let's dive in. The foundation, understanding financial minimalism, the mindset shift. Before we get into the specific items, you need to understand what financial minimalism actually means. It's not about living in an empty apartment with one fork and a mattress on the floor. That's not minimalism. That's punishment. Financial minimalism is the practice of intentionally choosing what you spend money on so that every dollar serves your values, your peace, or your future. It is about asking one simple question before every purchase. Does this move me closer to the life I want, or is it just noise? When you're a single mother, this question becomes even more critical. You don't have unlimited time to research every purchase. You don't have endless energy to return things that don't work out. And you definitely don't have money to waste on things that sit in closets, expire in fridges, or drain your account month after month without adding value. The three women you're about to meet, Lena, Tamara, and Rosa, each discovered this truth in different ways, but they all arrived at the same place. Freedom isn't found in having more stuff. It's found in having less noise. Now, let me show you exactly what they stopped buying and how you can apply these same principles to your own life starting this week. Money leaks and hidden drains, the invisible spending. Bulk purchases, just in case. The Costco trap. Lena used to believe that being prepared meant buying in bulk. She'd come home from Costco with 24 eggs, 3 gallons of milk, and a 10-pound bag of rice. It's cheaper per unit, she'd tell herself. But then the milk would expire, the eggs would go unused, and she'd stand at the sink pouring sour milk down the drain, feeling guilty and defeated. One evening at 8:45, as she tossed another carton, her daughter asked, "Why do we keep buying stuff we don't use, Mama?" Lena didn't have an answer, so she changed her rule. I only buy what I know I'll use this week. She started shopping twice a week, smaller, fresher hauls. She kept hard-boiled eggs and rice in the fridge for emergencies, and she stopped buying the family-size everything just because the unit price was lower. Here's what she realized. A deal isn't a deal if you throw half of it away. The math was simple. She was spending $180 a week on groceries, but wasting about $40 worth of food. By shopping smaller and more frequently, she spent $150 a week and wasted almost nothing. That's $120 a month back in her pocket, not from eating less, but from buying smarter. For single mothers, this shift is crucial because it removes the guilt. You're not failing at meal planning. You're not being wasteful on purpose. You're just buying for a reality that doesn't exist yet. Buy for the life you're actually living, not the one you think you should be living. Sale, items I didn't need, the discount delusion. Tamara used to scroll sale alerts like they were news. 60% off at Gap, Black Friday early access. She'd tell herself she was saving money, but really, she was spending money she hadn't planned to spend. One weekend, she bought $300 of clothes on sale just because they were a deal. She wore 2 items. The rest sat in her closet, a silent reminder of impulse. Then came the day her internet bill jumped $30. She called to complain and discovered she'd been overpaying for car insurance for years. She switched providers and saved $48 a month. That small win sparked a bigger shift. She stopped buying anything she didn't understand or truly need. Here's the truth about sales. Retailers aren't doing you a favor. They're creating urgency to make you spend money you weren't planning to spend. That 60% off dress isn't a savings if you wouldn't have bought it at full price. It's just a 40% loss disguised as a win. Tamara started asking herself one question before every sale purchase. Would I buy this at full price if I needed it right now? If the answer was no, she didn't buy it on sale either. She also unsubscribed from every brand email. No more flash sales in her inbox, no more FOMO, no more 2 a.m. impulse clicks because she couldn't sleep and Target was having a midnight madness event. Her spending didn't drop because she was deprived. It dropped because she was clear. And her son, who used to beg for the latest toy, started asking, "Do we really need it, Mom?" She smiled. "No, baby, we really don't." Clothes for someday events, the fantasy wardrobe. Lena had a section of her closet she called the maybe pile. A cowboy hat for a rodeo she might attend, a fancy dress for a wedding that never came, a blazer for job interviews she hadn't scheduled yet. Every item represented a version of herself she thought she should be, but none of them represented the woman she actually was. A mother who needed comfortable jeans, 3 good shirts, and shoes that didn't hurt by noon. One Saturday morning at 10:15, she pulled everything out of her closet and made 3 piles. Wear often, wear sometimes, never wear. The never wear pile was shockingly large. She'd spent over $400 on clothes she'd worn fewer than 3 times. She donated most of it and built a capsule wardrobe instead. 5 pairs of pants, 8 shirts, 3 jackets, 3 pairs of shoes. Everything mixed and matched. Everything fit. Everything felt like her. The result? She stopped buying clothes almost entirely. When something wore out, she replaced it with intention. No more impulse buys. No more just-in-case purchases. No more guilt about the tag still attached. For single mothers, this is essential because decision fatigue is real. Every morning you spend staring at a closet full of clothes you don't wear is energy you could spend on your kids, your work, or your peace. A smaller wardrobe isn't a limitation, it's liberation. Books I never finished, the self-help spiral. Rosa didn't have extra money. After leaving an abusive relationship with her 3-year-old Mateo, she lived in transitional housing, working overnight shifts. She used to buy self-help books, hoping they'd give her answers. But she'd read 10 pages, get overwhelmed, and the book would gather dust. She had a stack of 15 unread books on her nightstand, representing about $200 she couldn't afford to spend. One evening at 7:30, as Mateo napped, she walked to the library. She got a card, connected it to Libby, and discovered a world of free audiobooks and ebooks. She listened while folding laundry, walking to the bus, waiting in line. She learned about budgeting, parenting, even real estate, all for free. And because she wasn't spending money on books, she felt no guilt about abandoning one that wasn't serving her. She could try 10 books in the time it used to take her to finish one. Here's what Rosa realized. Access is more valuable than ownership. She didn't need to own the books, she needed the information. And the library gave her that without the financial burden or the physical clutter. For mothers who are trying to grow, learn, and improve while also surviving, this shift is massive. You're not giving up on self-improvement. You're just removing the barrier of cost so you can actually focus on the learning. Subscriptions, I forgot about the auto-pay trap. Tamara had a moment of reckoning when she reviewed her bank statement one month and found 7 subscriptions she'd forgotten about. Spotify Premium she never used because she'd listened to YouTube. A meditation app she'd opened twice. A meal kit service she'd paused but never canceled. A cloud storage plan for photos she'd already backed up. Together, they were draining $73 a month. That's $876 a year on services she wasn't using. She canceled YouTube TV. She only watched it 2 hours a month. She stopped paying for Zoom. Google Meet worked fine. She kept Spotify, but downgraded to the free version with ads. She canceled the meditation app and used free YouTube videos instead. Within 30 minutes, she'd freed up $73 a month. That's $876 a year she could put toward her emergency fund, her kids' activities, or just breathing room in her budget. Here's the truth. Companies count on you forgetting. They make it easy to sign up and hard to cancel. They bury the cancellation button. They offer you discounts to stay. They guilt you with, are you sure you want to lose your progress? But You're not losing anything. You're reclaiming your money and your attention. For single mothers, this is one of the fastest wins you can get. Go through your bank statement right now. Find every recurring charge. Ask yourself, am I using this enough to justify the cost? If the answer is no, cancel it. Don't wait until next month. Oh, do it now. Extended warranties and protection plans, the fear tax. Tamara used to buy extended warranties on everything, her phone, her laptop, her kids' tablets. The salesperson would say, it's only $15 a month for peace of mind. And she'd say yes, because she was terrified of something breaking and not being able to afford the replacement. But then she did the math. Over 3 years, she'd spent $540 on extended warranties. And in that same time, she'd only used one warranty for a $200 repair. She'd paid $540 to save $200. That's a $340 loss. Here's what she learned. Most extended warranties are a bad deal. The companies offering them wouldn't sell them if they lost money. They're profitable because most people never use them. Instead of buying warranties, Tamara started putting that money into a repair fund. If something broke, she'd use the fund to fix or replace it. If nothing broke, the money stayed in her account, growing instead of disappearing into a company's pocket. For single mothers, this is about shifting from fear-based spending to strategic saving. You're not being reckless by skipping the warranty. You're being smart by keeping the money and using it only if you actually need it. Convenience foods that cost more than time, the exhaustion tax. Lena used to buy pre-cut vegetables, pre-marinated chicken, and meal kits because she was exhausted. She'd tell herself, my time is worth more than the extra cost. But then she realized the extra cost was adding up to $120 a month, and the time she was saving was only about 15 minutes per meal. She started a new system, Sunday meal prep. She'd spend 2 hours on Sunday afternoon chopping vegetables, cooking rice, and marinating chicken. Then during the week, she'd just assemble and heat. It wasn't perfect. Some weeks she didn't have the energy for meal prep, and that was okay. But most weeks she did. And those weeks she saved $30 while still eating healthy home-cooked meals. Here's the key. She didn't shame herself for the weeks she couldn't do it. She just recognized that when she could, it made a real difference in her budget and her stress levels. For single mothers, this isn't about being a perfect meal prepping machine. It's about finding the balance between convenience and cost that works for your actual life. Some weeks you'll meal prep, some weeks you'll order pizza. Both are okay. The goal is just to be intentional about which one you're choosing and why. Lifestyle creep and social pressure, the comparison trap, Airbnbs and weekend getaways, the illusion of rest. Rosa used to think she needed to get away to rest. She'd book an Airbnb for the weekend, pack up Mateo, and drive 2 hours to a cabin in the woods. But the trips were never as relaxing as promised. There was always a Costco run required because the cabin didn't have basics. There were always rules to follow at checkout. Strip the beds, start the dishwasher, take out the trash. And there was always the stress of keeping Mateo from breaking something that wasn't theirs. And it was always the stress of keeping Mateo from breaking something that wasn't there. She'd come home more exhausted than when she left and $300 poorer. One weekend, she couldn't afford the trip, so she stayed home and did a staycation instead. A picnic at the park, a movie night with homemade popcorn, a library visit. Mateo loved it. "It's an adventure, Mama," he'd say. Rosa realized joy doesn't require a price tag. It requires presence. The expensive cabin didn't make her more present. It just made her more stressed about money and logistics. She started doing staycations regularly. She'd plan them like real trips, make a schedule, pack snacks, create special moments. And Mateo never once asked why they weren't going somewhere else. For single mothers, this is about redefining what rest and joy look like. You don't need to spend money to create memories. You just need to be intentional about creating space for connection, gifts that perform love. The obligation economy. Lena used to buy expensive gifts for everyone. Her kids, her friends, her coworkers, her kids' teachers. She'd spend $50 on a birthday gift for a child her daughter barely knew. Just because they were invited to the party, she thought she was being generous. But really, she was performing generosity to avoid feeling guilty or judged. One year, she spent over $800 on Christmas gifts, and when she asked her kids what their favorite part of Christmas was, they said making cookies with you. Not the gifts, the time. She changed her approach. She started giving smaller, more thoughtful gifts, or just her time. She'd bake cookies for teachers instead of buying gift cards. She'd offer to babysit for friends instead of buying them wine. She'd spend $20 on a meaningful gift for her kids instead of $200 on a pile of toys they'd forget about by February. Her kids didn't notice the difference in cost, but they did notice the difference in her stress levels. She was calmer, more present, less resentful about money. For single mothers, this is about rejecting the idea that love is measured in dollars. Your kids don't need more stuff. They need more of you. And the people who truly care about you don't need expensive gifts. They need your presence, your honesty, and your time. The keeping up purchases, the comparison tax. Tamara used to buy things because other people had them. Her coworker got a Peloton, so she bought a gym membership she never used. Her sister got a new car, so she upgraded hers even though her old one worked fine. Her neighbor remodeled her kitchen, so Tamara started pricing out countertops she couldn't afford. She was spending money to keep up with people who weren't even paying attention to her. One day, her son asked, "Mom, why do you always say we can't afford things, but then you buy stuff we don't need?" She didn't have an answer, so she stopped. She unfollowed accounts on social media that made her feel inadequate. She stopped going to stores just to browse. She started asking herself before every purchase, am I buying this for me or am I buying this to prove something to someone else? Most of the time, it was the latter, and once she saw that pattern, she couldn't unsee it. She started investing the money she would have spent on keeping up into things that actually mattered. Her emergency fund, her kids' college savings, a small side business she'd been dreaming about. For single mothers, this is the most important shift of all. You are not in competition with anyone. Your life doesn't need to look like anyone else's life. Your success doesn't need to be visible to be real. The only person you need to keep up with is the version of yourself who's building a life of peace, stability, and freedom. And that version of you doesn't care about countertops or cars. She cares about breathing room in the budget and calm in the kitchen. The compound effect, what they gained instead, the real wealth. Let's do the math on what these three women saved by stopping these 10 purchases. Lena saved $120 a month on groceries, $90 a month on clothes, and $50 a month on gifts. That's $260 a month or $3,120 a year. Tamara saved $73 a month on subscriptions, $100 a month on sale items she didn't need, and $40 a month on extended warranties. That's $213 a month or $2,556 a year. Rosa saved $60 a month on books and Airbnbs combined. That's $720 a year. But here's what they gained that you can't measure in dollars. Lena gained clarity. She stopped feeling guilty about waste. She stopped stressing about her closet. She stopped performing generosity and started living it. Tamara gained peace. She stopped comparing herself to others. She stopped feeling FOMO every time she opened her email. She stopped spending money to prove something to people who weren't even watching. Rosa gained hope. She stopped believing that joy required money. She stopped feeling trapped by her circumstances. She started building a future that felt possible, and their kids noticed. Not because their moms were buying them more, but because their moms were present, calm, and clear. That's the real wealth of financial minimalism. It's not about the money you save, though that's real and it matters. It's about the mental space you reclaim when you stop letting your spending run on autopilot. How to start your own financial minimalism journey, the action plan. You don't have to do all 10 of these things at once. In fact, I don't recommend it. Start with one, just one. Here's how. This week, pick one category from this list and audit it. Go through your bank statement, find every purchase in that category from the last 3 months. Add it up. Ask yourself, did this spending serve my values, my peace, or my future? If the answer is no, that's your starting point. Cancel one subscription you're not using right now. Don't wait until the end of the billing cycle. Just cancel it. You'll save money immediately and you'll feel the relief of taking action. Unsubscribe from one brand email list. Pick the one that tempts you the most, the one that makes you click shop now even when you weren't planning to buy anything. Remove the temptation at the source. Try 1 week of smaller, more frequent grocery shopping. Instead of one big haul, do 2 smaller trips. Buy only what you know you'll use in the next few days. See if you waste less food and feel less stressed. Borrow one book from the library instead of buying it. Download the Libby app. Connect your library card. Find a book you've been wanting to read. Listen to it while you fold laundry or drive to work. Plan one staycation instead of a weekend getaway. Make it special. Plan activities, pack snacks, create moments. See if your kids notice the difference in cost or if they just notice the difference in your presence. That's it. 6 small actions. Pick one. Start this week. And here's what I want you to remember. Financial minimalism isn't about deprivation. It's about intention. You're not giving up joy. You're giving up noise. You're not living with less. You're living with clarity. The truth about wealth, the lesson their kids will remember. Lena's daughter is 10 now. She doesn't remember the cowboy hat her mom bought and never wore, but she remembers the Saturday mornings they spent meal prepping together, dancing in the kitchen, talking about their week. Tamer's son is 8. He doesn't remember the toys his mom bought on sale and never played with, but he remembers the day she sat him down and said, "We're going to be smart with our money so we can build something better." Rosa's son, Mateo, is 6. He doesn't remember the Airbnbs they couldn't afford, but he remembers the library trips, the picnics, the nights his mom read to him before bed because she wasn't too stressed to be present. Your kids won't remember the brand of your shoes. They won't remember the size of your house or the newness of your car. They'll remember the calm in your voice, the joy in your kitchen, the peace in your presence. And that's what financial minimalism gives you. Not a perfect life, not an Instagram-worthy home, just breathing room, space to think, space to plan, space to be the mother you want to be instead of the one you think you should be. The invitation, the beginning, not the end. So here's my question for you. What's one thing you've stopped buying and what did you gain instead? Maybe you stopped buying coffee every morning and gained $150 a month. Maybe you stopped buying clothes you didn't need and gained a closet that feels like you. Maybe you stopped buying guilt and gained peace. Whatever it is, I want to hear about it. Drop it in the comments because here's the truth. We're not in this alone. Every single mother who's trying to build a better life, who's trying to make her money work for her instead of against her, who's trying to create space for joy instead of noise. We're all on the same team. And the more we share what's working, the more we normalize financial minimalism as a strategy instead of a sacrifice, the more we help each other build lives that are rich in what truly matters. So tell me, what are you going to stop buying this week? What are you going to start building instead? I'll be right there with you, notebook open, library card in hand, building a life that's rich in what truly matters. Because for all mothers, freedom isn't found in more stuff, it's found in less noise. Let's build that freedom together.